Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Seya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Welcome to this discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Till now, in our Bhagavatam discussions, we have completed Canto 1, Chapter 6. So today we will start with chapter number 7. So this chapter is titled as The Son of Do Not Punished. Uh, this narrative focuses on significant, this chapter focuses majorly on the significant events following the Kurukshetra war. So the chapter begins with Srila Vyasadeva, the great sage, feeling dissatisfied despite his comprehensive contributions to Vedic literature. So he meditates on Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, and then he is inspired to compile Srimad Bhagavatam to deliver the spiritual wisdom. So there is a mention of Vyasadeva teaching um, of Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami in this chapter. This is to answer the last part of the question on the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is when, where, how, and on whose inspiration did Vyasadeva compile Srimad Bhagavatam. So this one is almost getting over in this chapter, the answer to this question. So in last four chapters, we were discussing about it. And there is one interesting question which comes. Shaunaka Rishi is asking if Sukadev Goswami is already a Brahman realized soul, why he has to take trouble? Let us go to this compilation. So in this chapter, we will get to here we will have one interesting question. Why did Sukadev Goswami take trouble to undergo the study of Srimad Bhagavatam? So this is important question, and this question is answered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very elaborately in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there is a very interesting Atmarama verse, which is the answer to this question. So we'll see these two questions. No, these are some important thing. Then the answer to the question, we saw that the answer to the question asked in 1403, which is here. So it is answered up to the shloka. So it gets concluded. And then whatever uh, begins other than next to this is end of Kurukshetra war. So we will see now we enter into the Kurukshetra war. So it would be very nice where we will have Ashwatthama firing Brahmastra, and then Uttara is praying to Krishna. Then Arjuna is praying to Krishna. So it is a very interesting chapter. A lot of things, a lot of details are there in this. Let us go through this one by one. Let us go to the first shloka and start the discussion. Okay. So Shaunaka Vacha Nirgate Narade Suta Bhagavan Badarayana Shrutvam Stat Abhipretam Tat Kim Akarod Vibhu. Rishi Shunaka said, O Suta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva, heard everything from Sri Narada Muni. So after Narada's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? So in the previous chapters, we were discussing about how Narada Muni came. And Vyasadeva was trying to balance his mind that he was not fully satisfied by compilation of all the Vedas, and hence um, he was trying to balance his mind. That time, his spiritual master comes and tells him that he has not focused in his compilation that bhakti is the ultimate method to realize Supreme Personality of Godhead. who is the Saman Bonam. We need to take shelter of Krishna, and bhakti is the best way to approach him. This one he has not focused in his compilation of Vedas. Therefore, Vyasadeva has a dilemma. So Narada Muni explains the importance of bhakti and devotion to Krishna from his own life, and then he departs. At that point, the chapter 6 ends, and now chapter 7, Vyasadeva is clear what he has to do. So that is where Sukadev Goswami, Suta Goswami, Saunakadi rishis, they are asking Suta Goswami, what did Vyasadeva do? Now, Suta Uvacha, Brahmanadyam Saraswatyam Ashrama Pachime Tate सम्या प्रसाद इति प्रोक्ता क्षम्या प्रास इति प्रोक्ता ऋषीणां सत्तवर्धनः. Sri Suta said, on the western bank of river Saraswati, which is intimately related with Vedas, there is a cottage for the meditation at Samya Prasha, which enlivens the transcendental activities of this sage. So here, most important point for us, the whole Varnashrama system is so designed that each and every status of life is called an ashrama. This means that spiritual culture is common factor for all. Brahmacharis, grahasthas, vanaprasthas, sannyasi all belong to the same mission of life, which is realization of supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality or strength of renunciation. Sannyasis are held in high estimation on strength of practical renunciation. So here Krishna is talking about ashrama, cottage for meditation. Next, तस्मिन् स्व आश्रमे व्यासो बद्रीसन्दमन्दिते आसीनो आप उपस्तस्य Manasvayam. In that place, Srila Vyasdeva, in his own ashrama, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching the water for purification. Concentrated his mind in this transit. So he is now concentrating his mind for the great work which he has to do, which is just compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male apashyat purusham purnam maya tat apashrayam. Thus he fixed his mind perfectly, engaging it by linking it in devotional service, which is Bhakti Yoga, without any tinge of materialism, and thus he saw absolute personality of God along with this external energy, which was under full control. So here, most important thing for us is that it is stated in Bhagavad Gita that impersonal Brahman effulgence is also an emanation from absolute personality of God Krishna. So the Parama Purusha cannot be anyone except Sri Krishna himself, as will be explained in later shloka. So having kept Krishna in his mind, he has started his work in the mode of bhakti is doing this. Vyasadeva. Let us go to the next shloka. यया सम्मोहितो जीवो आत्मानं त्रिगुणात्मकं परोऽपि मनते अर्थं तत्कृतं चाभिपद्यते. Due to this external the living entity, although transcendental to three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reaction of material miseries. So, Vyasadeva is now, since he is taking Krishna in his mind and he sees that the Maya is under full control of Krishna, having taken his shelter, this Maya is not going to affect him when he is going to compile this Srimad Bhagavatam. That is how we should understand this specific shloka. Prabhupada makes one important point here. An affectionate father does not like his children to be chastised by any other agent, yet he puts his disobedient children under the custody of severe men just to bring them to an order, but the all affectionate ultimately for the same time desires relief for the conditioned soul, relief from the clutches of illusory Maya. So the king puts the disobedient citizen within the walls of jails, but sometimes the king, desiring prisoners' relief, personally goes there and pleads for reformation, and on this doing so, the prisoners are set free. Similarly, Supreme Lord descends from his kingdom upon the kingdom of illusion energy and personally gives relief in the Bhagavad Gita, wherein he personally suggests, although the ways of illusion are very stiff to overcome. One who surrenders that to the lotus feet of Lord is set free by the order of Supreme. So now Vyasadeva has taken shelter of Krishna, hence he will be free from Maya so that he can compile the Srimad Bhagavatam nicely. Okay, let's go to the next sloka. अनर्थोपशमं साक्षात् भक्तियोगं मदोक्षजे लोकस्याजानतो विद्वान् चक्रे सात्वत samhita. The material miseries of the living entities, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to Supreme Lord. So the best way to come out of this material miseries is to engage in devotional service. And the scripture which talks about that is Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is why Vyasadeva is composing this great literature for us. Now you go to the next sloka, sloka number 7. यस्यामय श्रूयमाणायां कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पद्यते पुंसा शोकमोहभयापहा. Simply by giving oral receptions to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So this is something lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness is something which every living entity is um, and subjected to in this material world. So to overcome this, we need to follow the devotional service to the Lord Krishna, and the best way to engage in devotional service is to hear about his glories. And Srimad Bhagavatam talks all about the glories of Supreme Personality of God. These are the primary systems of material, and it definitely suggested here is that simply by hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, one gets attachment for Supreme Personality of Krishna. And as soon as this is affected, the symptoms of material disease disappear. So it's a very important thing. Then there is one important point. Even in the Kaumudi dictionary, the synonyms for Krishna are given as Son of Yashoda and Supreme Personality of God, Parabrahman. The conclusion is that simply by hearing Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, one can have direct connection with Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, and thereby one can attain highest perfection of life by transcending worldly miseries, illusions, fearfulness. These are practical tests for one who has actually given a submissive hearing to the readings of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest benefit that we can do for ourselves. Go to the next sloka. Sasamhitam Bhagavatim Katva Anukamya Cha Atmajam Sukam Adhyapayam Asa Nivriti Niratamuni. Here, the great sage Vyasadeva, after compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son, Sri Sukadeva Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, this is very interesting. It is good to read this entire purport because it Prabhupada actually talks about why a Brahman realized person gets attracted to it. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on Brahma Sutras compiled by same author. Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra is meant for those who are already engaged in self-realization. So Vyasadeva has written, compiled all the Vedas. Then in order to make it, sometimes it will be very difficult for us to read the entire complete, for a person to read all the entire Vedas. So it is important for that, this compiler to give some sutra. Sutras means short aphorisms so that a person can get a glimpse of what is there in the entire Vedas. So that is why he created Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta means end of Veda, end of Vedanta, end of Vedas. So that is what Vedas gave. But Vedanta Sutras are very dry and it is very difficult to understand what it means. Therefore, to explain, so even after compiling that, Yasadeva was not satisfied because he did not clearly tell Bhakti is the only solution for suffering living entity to go back home, back to God, and by realizing that he is a servitor of Krishna. So that is not emphasized in Vedanta Sutras. So he was trying to balance when he got inspiration from Narada what he has to do. Then he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. He compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. That is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to mention here. Although it is especially meant for Paramahamsas or those who are totally engaged in self-reliance, it works into depths of hearts of those who are maybe worldly men. Worldly men are all engaged in sense gratification, but even such men will find it, this Vedic literature, a remedial measure for material disease. So it is like this. In the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami is giving one good example. A person suffering from jaundice is given the medicine which is sugar candy. So sugar candy will taste very bitter or it will taste very bad for a person who is suffering from jaundice. But that is the cure for him. So in our material state, we will not be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. But by constantly hearing Bhagavatam, the sick person, by constantly tasting the sugar candy, slowly the disease goes away and then he gets the actual taste of the sugar. So our material disease also goes away when we constantly read and recite Srimad Bhagavatam. Then constantly our material disease go away and we become good devotees of Krishna. So just like jaundice disappears, we become devotees of Krishna. From sinful person, we become devotees of Krishna. So it is not only for Paramahamsa, it is also for people who are worldly men. Worldly men are all engaged in sense gratification, but even such men will find in this Vedic remedial measure for their material disease. Sukadeva Goswami was liberated soul from the beginning of his birth, and his father taught him Srimad Bhagavatam. Amongst mundane scholars, there is some diversity of opinion as to the date of compilation of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is, however, certain from the text of Srimad Bhagavatam that it was compiled before the disappearance of King Parikshit and after the departure of Lord Krishna. When Maharaj Parshit was ruling the world as a king of Bharatvarsha, he chastised the personality of Kali. According to revealed scriptures and astrological calculation, the age of Kali is in its 5,000th year. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled not less than 5,000 years ago. Mahabharata was compiled before Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Puranas were compiled before Mahabharata. That is an estimation of date of compilation of different Vedic literature. The synopsis of Srimad Bhagavatam was given before the detailed description under instruction of Narada Muni. Srimad Bhagavatam is a science for following the path of Nivritti Marga. The path of Pravritti Marga was condemned by Narada. That path is natural inclination for all conditioned soul. The theme of Srimad Bhagavatam is to cure the material disease of human being or stopping completely the material pangs of material existence. So we need to come out of the material disease and hence we need to focus on reading Srimad Bhagavatam on daily basis. We should include that in our sadhana. शौनक उवाच सवै निवृत्ति निरतः सर्वत्रो Pekshako kasya va vrhitam etam atma rama samabhyastah. Translation: Sri Shaunaka asked Suta Goswami. Sri Sukadeva Goswami was already on path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. Why did he take trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? There is a very interesting word used here, Atma Rama, one who is pleased in himself. So Prabhupada is giving a very good explanation here. Atma means self, and Arama means one means to take pleasure. Everyone is searching after highest pleasure, but the standard of pleasure of one may be different from standard of another. Therefore, the standard of pleasure enjoyed by karmis is different that of Atma Ramas. The Atma Ramas are completely indifferent to material enjoyment in every respect. Srila Sukadeva Goswami has already attained that stage, and still he was attracted to undergo the trouble of studying great Bhagavatam literature. This means that Srimad Bhagavatam is a postgraduate study even for Atmaramas who have surpassed all the studies of Vedic literature. So the answer to this question um, is explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to is the devotee Sanatan Goswami. Let us go to the shloka. 1.7.10 आत्मारामाश्च मुनयो निर्ग्रन्था अपि उरुक्रमे कुर्वन्ति अहैतुकीं भक्तिम् इत्थं भूतगुणो हरिः. Suta Goswami, all different varieties of Atmaramas, those who take pleasure in Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto personality of God. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. So this means in our we can draw one more parallel here. If you see Nigama Kalpatar Galita Falan Sukamukat Amrita Drave Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamale Muhur Avo Rasika Bhuvi Bhauka. So that means it will attract nectarine always relishable for all, including the liberated souls. So the beginning of Bhagavatam only we know that Bhagavatam is not only for it's relishable for all, including the liberated souls. So it is that is what is gets the emphasis becomes much more deeper in this shloka. So here Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained Atmarava shloka very vividly before his chief devotee Srila Sanatana Goswami. He points out 11 factors in the shloka Atmarama, Unaya Nirgranta Api Cha Urukrama Kuruvanti Ahaitukim Bhaktim Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi. These 11 points, factors are nothing but the 11 words used here. According to Vishwa Prakasha Sanskrit, there are 7 synonyms for the word Atma. So, the word Atma Rama refers to those finding pleasure in the self, and Munayo is for thoughtful individuals. So, uh, there is a explanation which Prabhupada is giving. Now, the Atmarama refers to those who find pleasure in self. Munaya is referring to thoughtful individuals. Nirgranta implies liberation from ignorance or so here freedom from bondage or liberation. Urukrama denotes great souls or one who does glorious activity. So in this case, it particularly refers to Vamana. Kurvanti that suggests rendering service to the Lord without personal interest, while Hetu, Urukrame, Kurvanti Hetukim, It's a cause for one's satisfaction, including material enjoyment. So, material enjoyment, mystic powers, and liberation. So, unalloyed devotion transcends the personal desire. So, kurvanti ahaitukam. Ahaitukam means it is unalloyed, whereas there is a word called as hetu, which is just opposite to um, ahaitukam. So, which is doing for our satisfaction, including material enjoyment, mystic powers, and liberation. So, unalloyed devotion transcends personal desires and progresses through the stages of attachment, love, and ecstatic feeling towards the Lord. So, and there is a term, ittaham bhuta guna. Ittaham bhutam signifies complete bliss, such a wonderful bliss derived from realizing the personal form of Lord Krishna, Hari, the Lord who vanquishes inauspiciousness and bestows pure transcendental love. His attractive features, Lord Krishna's attractive features captivate all. It is not only captivating um, the gopis of Vrindavan or uh, queens of Dwarka, but also sages like Sanakadi rishis. Even Suta Goswami gets attracted. So, by analyzing each and every word of this verse, one can discover countless transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna that enthrall the minds of pure devotees. So, what is the basic underlying thing? If we are engaged in personal service of Krishna, uh, no, we will get in contact. We will get freed from all kinds of material bondage, and we will get in contact with Krishna personally, which gives deeper enjoyment than anything else in this world. Therefore, even liberated soul will feel higher level of happiness when he comes in contact with Krishna. So some worldly men are there. When they come in contact with devotional service, they will feel benefited by getting freed from kleshas or from the sufferings. Whereas liberated souls are already in a happiness. They have a higher level of happiness compared to mundane man, but that happiness is also uh, very low compared to the happiness derived when you get in touch with Krishna. So, one of the best ways of getting in contact with Krishna is studying Srimad Bhagavatam. That is what we learned in our previous nine shlokas, previous eight shlokas. So, that is why Ved Vyas is compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam so that even the mundane person gets liberated from the material pangs, but it is also for Paramahamsas because they will be relishing higher level of taste. So this Atmarma verse is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It highlights the profound joy experienced by those self-satisfied and who are indifferent to material pleasures through chanting the holy names of the Lord, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. So this verse underscores the unparalleled bliss attained by pure devotees immersed in loving service of Krishna, loving service to Krishna, surpassing even the happiness of liberation. This verse encapsulates the essence of spiritual fulfillment, emphasizing the transformative power of devotional service and the boundless ecstasy found in connecting with Krishna through chanting of this Srimad Bhagavata. That is why Sukadeva Goswami, who doesn't stay even for a duration, the milk is getting taken from the cow. He doesn't stay in the house, but he stayed for 7 days reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj because that reciting of Srimad Bhagavatam directly connects him to Krishna, which gives him highest level of happiness. Srila Prabhupada often spoke about the attraction of Sukadeva Goswami to Srimad Bhagavatam. He emphasized that Sukadeva Goswami was already liberated, yet he was still attracted to hearing and speaking the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this attraction of Sukadeva Goswami to Srimad Bhagavatam demonstrates the captivating nature of Bhagavatam's subject matter, which is centered on the glories and pastimes of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada highlighted that the Bhagavatam is not an ordinary literature, but it is a ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, and even the liberated souls like Sukadeva Goswami are irresistibly drawn to its message of pure devotion and transcendence. That is what we saw in the shloka 1.1.3. It is a fruit which has become even more tasteful, although the nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including the liberated souls. So now, in this shloka 1.7.10, what happens is that we are coming to a closure. We are coming to a closure of the first part, first important question asked in chapter 4. When, where, and how, on whose inspiration did Vyasadeva compile Srimad Bhagavatam? So Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, and then it is given to Sukadev Goswami, who is going to come in chapter number 19 and is going to talk this Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So that is where this question ends, and an answer to this question ends. Now, whatever is going to be discussed further is going to be on Parikshit Maharaj's activity. So from 1712 to 1936, we will be talking only about Parikshit Maharaj. So till now, what is that we have seen? We have seen Sukadeva Goswami's inquiry. What did Vyasadeva do? So there is a description of location, which is on Saraswati, river of Saraswati. Then Vyasadeva is taking shelter of Lord, and he sees that Maya is in complete control of Supreme Lord, and having taken shelter of Krishna, he is now free from pangs of material miseries. And then Shoka Moha Bhaya. Shoka means it is sadness, Moha is illusion, Bhaya is fear. So these three things is able to overcome, and then is now focusing on Bhakti Yoga, which mitigates miseries of the people. Then oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam is cure for all material miseries. So that is what we saw in the first seven shlokas, which is Vyasa's vision and glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. The next part of the shloka, Vyasadeva is teaching Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. And why? Because even liberated souls relish higher level of happiness when they come in contact with topics of Krishna. So in shloka number 11, we will see that Sukadeva Goswami is studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us go to that shloka. Are guna akshipta mate Bhagavan Badarayana Adyagan Mahad Akyana Nityam Vishnu Janapriya. Sri Sukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear devotee of the Lord. Thus he underwent the study of great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is giving a brief history here in the first paragraph. According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. Srila Vyasadeva knew that child after his birth would not stay at home. Therefore, Vyasadeva impressed upon him the synopsis of Bhagavatam so that the child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord. After his birth, the child was still more educated in the subject of Bhagavatam by recitation of the actual poems. So that is very important for us. When Prabhupada is giving one interesting sloka. Therefore, it appears that Sukadeva Goswami also had no liking for the devotees, but since he himself became saturated devotee, he desired always transcendental association of Vishnu Janas, and the Vishnu Janas also liked his association. Since he became a personal Bhagavata, thus both son and father were completely cognizant of transcendental knowledge in Brahman, and afterwards both of them became absorbed in personal features of Supreme Lord. The question as to how Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by narration of Bhagavatam is thus completely answered by this sloka. So this ends the point that Srimad Bhagavatam's disciplinic parampara is told here. So it was told by Narada to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is telling it to Parishit Maharaj. Parishit Maharaj is now going to recite. Parishit Maharaj, when he is hearing the Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami, Suta Goswami also heard the Srimad Bhagavatam, and now he is telling to Saunakadi Rishis this Bhagavatam. Okay, let us go to 12th shloka. But before going to 12th shloka, a brief history is to be understood here. So now, from shloka number 12 onwards, the description of Parikshit Maharaj starts. Okay, so we see the scene shifts to the end of Kurukshetra war. We can see that the major topic here is lamentation for Pandava's dead sons, and Arjuna captures Ashwatthama. There are totally 58 shlokas here in this. Right now, we have completed only the first 11 shlokas. And first 11 shlokas are talking about the parampara of Srimad Bhagavatam and why Sukadeva Goswami, even when he is liberated, is attracted to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, um, the we our main next the focus is on Parikshit Maharaj. So Suta Goswami is now talking, zooming into the end of Mahabharata. So from text 12 onwards, the description of Parikshit Maharaj starts. So we see scene is shifting to end of Kurukshetra war. So in chapter 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, what did we see? We see that Narada Muni is instructing Vyasadeva on devotion to Lord Krishna, emphasizing hearing and chanting his glories for spiritual liberation. He shares his own spiritual journey and urges Vyasadeva to narrate Krishna's pastime for humanity's benefit. In chapter 5, Narada Muni imparts spiritual wisdom to Vyasadeva, emphasizing the importance of devotional service and hearing about Supreme Lord Krishna for attaining liberation. That is what we see in chapter 5. Chapter 6 portrays the conversation between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. Narada enlightens Vyasadeva about the symptoms of age of Kali and emphasizes the significance of devotional service and hearing about Lord Krishna to counteract the influence of Kali and attain spiritual elevation. So this is what we saw up to chapter 6. On chapter 7, till now, we have seen Sukadeva Goswami is interested in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, chapter 7, shloka number 13 onwards, we see King Yudhishthira serene, um, highlighting his moral dilemma and grief over massive loss in the war. So, Sri Krishna and Vyasadeva counsel him, emphasizing the importance of performing his duties as a ruler. So when this is happening, Ashwatthama, who is the son of Drona, seeks revenge for his father's death. In a desperate act, he releases the Brahmastra weapon, threatening to destroy the entire world. Srila Prabhupada actually gives a very good description of Brahmastra. He primarily focuses on its destructive power and the grave consequence of misuse of a power. Srila Prabhupada also emphasizes the importance of Dharma, which is righteousness, and condemns the use of such great weapons for selfish or malevolent purpose and malicious purpose. He also highlights the significance of seeking shelter of Supreme Lord when we are in a calamity. We see that Uttara, who is a devotee of, who is wife of Abhimanyu, mother of Parikshit Maharaj, runs to Krishna's shelter. So, in case of problems, we should take shelter of Krishna, who protects his devotees from all dangers, which includes also Brahmastra. So, let us now focus on this 60, no, sloka number 12 to 16. Shloka number 12. परीक्षु अथ राजर्षे जन्म कर्म विलापनम संस्थानं च पांडुपुत्राणां पक्षे कृष्ण कथोदयम्. Sutta Goswami thus addressed the rishis led by Saunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of Lord Krishna and topics of the birth and activities of deliverance of King Parishit, the sage amongst kings, as well as the topics of renunciation of worldly order by the sons of Pandu. So, renunciation of sons of Pandu begins the life of um, life of description of life history of Parikshit Maharaj. यदा मृदे कौरवसञ्जयानां वीरेष्व अतो वीरगतिं गतेषु प्रकोदरा अविदत् गदम्बिमर्षा भग्नोर्दण्डे धृतराष्ट्रपुत्रे भ्रातुर्प्रियं द्रौणी इति समपश्यन् कृष्ण सुतानां सपतं शरांसि उपहरद्विप्रियम् एव तस्य जुगुप्सितं कर्म विगर्हयन्ति. When respective warriors of both the camps, namely the Kauravas and Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and death warriors obtained the deserved destination, and when son of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by club of Bhimasen, the son of Dronacharya Ashwatthama, beheaded the five sleeping sons of Draupadi and delivered the heads as a prize to his master. Foolishly thinking that he would be pleased, Duryodhana, however, disapproved of such heinous act and was not pleased in the least. Lord Krishna Chaitanya is Krishna himself in the garb of devotee of Krishna, and therefore the version of both Lord Krishna and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Lord Chaitanya desired all who are born in India seriously understand such Krishna Kathas and then, after full realization, preach the transcendental message to everyone in all parts of the world. That will bring about desired peace and prosperity of the stricken world. So we need to spread the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 15. माता शिशूनां निधनं सुतानां निशम्य घोरं परितप्य माना तदा रुदद्वास्य कलाकुलक्षी तं सन्त व्यान् अह कीरिति माली. Draupadi, the mother of five children and of the Pandavas, after hearing the massacre of her son, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus follows. तदा शुचस्ते जामि भद्रे यद्ब्रह्म बन्धो शिर आततायिनः गाण्डीव मुक्तैषिके उपाहरे तव क्रम्य यत् सन्न्यसि दग्धपुत्र. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with the arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. So, when Arjuna promised to behead aggressor named Ashwatthama, he knew well that Ashwatthama was son of a Brahmana. But because the so-called Brahmana acted like a butcher, he was taken as such, and there was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmana son who proved to be villain. Prabhupada also mentioned as an enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunder wells or usurps agriculture fields, or entices one's wife. He is called an aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he be a Brahmana or so-called son of Brahmana, has to be punished in all circumstances. So this is some instruction which Krishna gave to Arjuna in the Srimad and Bhagavad Gita. First chapter, it tells this. They are aggressors, and aggressors are to be killed. Iti priya iti priyavalgu vichitra jalpai sa shanta ya vichita mitra sota avadravadamsito ugradanva kapitvajo guru putram ratena. Arjuna, who is guided by infallible Lord as a friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statement. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapon. Getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashwatthama, the son of the martial teacher. Tam aptatam savilakshya durat kumara odvigna manaratena paradravatvana paripshur urvyam yavad kamam rudra bayat yatakha. Ashwatthama, the murderer of the princess, seeing from the great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life as Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. यदाशरणं यदाश्रमम् आत्मानाम् ऐषश्रतं वाजिनाम् अश्रतं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने Atma Tranam. When the son of Brahmana, Ashwatthama, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, which is Brahmastra, which is nuclear weapon. So here, in an ultimate issue only, when there is no alternative, nuclear weapon called Brahmastra is applied. The word Dvijatmaja is significant here because Ashwatthama, although the son of Dronacharya, was not exactly a qualified Brahmana. The most intelligent man is called Brahmana, and it is not a hereditary title. Ashwatthama was also formally called Brahmabandhu or friend of Brahmana. Being a friend of Brahmana does not mean that one is a Brahmana by qualification. A friend or son of Brahmana, when fully qualified, can be called a Brahmana and not otherwise. Since Ashwatthama's decision is immature, he is purposely called herein as son of Brahmana. He is called as Vija Atmaja. अतो पश् अतोपाश्रय सलिलां सन्दते तत् समाहितः प्रज्ञानम् अपि स्मः आरं प्राणकृच्च उपस्थिते. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon chanting of the hymns for throwing the nuclear weapon, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. So Prabhupada is telling that subtle forms of material activities are finer than gross methods of material manipulation. Such subtle forms of material activities are affected by purification of sound. The same method is adopted here by chanting hymns to act as nuclear weapons. ततः प्रादुः दुष्कृतं तेजः प्रचण्डं सर्वतो दिशाम् Pranapadam Abhiprekshya Vishnum Jishnu Uvachaha. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjuna thought his own life in danger, and so he began to address Lord Sri Krishna. So now the next shlokas from 22 to 26 are very nice. We need to read this here. Arjuna Vacha, O son, O my Lord Sri Krishna, you are Almighty Personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearless in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find path of liberation in you only. You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself in all over the creation and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. Text 24. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of material energy, you execute the four principles of liberation characterized by religion and so on for the ultimate good of conditioned souls. Thus, you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are constantly wrapped in meditation upon you. O Lord of Lords, how is it this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand. Let us read the Sanskrit translation. It is very nice. Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tameko Dahyamanana Apavargo Asi Samsmite त्वमाद्य पुरुष साक्षात् ईश्वर प्रकृते परा मायां व्यूढस्य चिक्शक्त्या कैवल्ये स्थित आत्मनि. It is very nice. सहैव जीवलोकस्य मायां मोहितचेतसा विदत्से स्वेन वीर्येण श्रेयो धर्मादिलक्षणम्. तथायं चावतारस्ते भुवो भारजिहीर्षया स्वानां चान्यभावानाम् अनुध्याय अनुध्याय नाय चासकृत्. किम् इदं श्रित्कुतो वेति देवदेवानामिदम्यहं सर्वतोमुखम् आयाति तेज परमदारुणम्. So now, what does this mean? So this paragraph, we can see the Arjuna's authoritative understanding of Krishna, which he has gained um, during his association throughout the Kurukshetra war. It highlights Krishna's omnipotence and his role in providing fearlessness to his devotees. So this analogy of material existence as a forest fire underscores the necessity of Krishna's mercy to extinguish it. So we see that material miseries are always compared to the forest fire, and spiritual master serves as a conduit of mercy who gives transcendental knowledge, and that comes in the form of rain, and it helps us to alleviate our material suffering. So Krishna is the ultimate shelter who helps us to come out of this material miseries. Then in text 23, Lord is considered as transcendental. The words like, if you go to shloka number 23, from Adi Purusha. So Adi Purusha means it is the original. Ishvara, Prakriti, Para. All these words describe that Lord is transcendental. See, if you see Bhagavad Gita, it highlights the importance of surrendering to lotus feet of Krishna for liberation from ignorance. So Krishna is like sun who dispels the darkness of material existence. He is the original personality of Godhead from whom all other forms of energy emanate. So while material existence is pervaded by partial representation of the Lord, Krishna remains beyond it. He remains full of bliss and transcendental variegatedness. So he orchestrates creation, maintenance, and destruction through his diverse energies, which you know, while he is while in his own about, he is having his own pastimes. So Krishna's supremacy is emphasized as he governs the world through his all-potent, all-powerful nature. So that is what we see here. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge, but still he is able to affect, cast away the effects of material energy. In text 24, the Lord, the emphasizes the mercifulness of the Lord. But the personality of God Krishna descends to this material world out of his material mercy. He is not touched by the modes of material nature, but he comes to reclaim the souls who are deluded by illusion. So, despite the individual souls seeking enjoyment, uh, though inherently being a lot of servant of the Lord Krishna, um, uh, Krishna becomes merciful to dispel this illusion of the souls and restore souls to the path of devotional service so that they go back home, back to God. And if you see shloka number 25, so Lord appears partial to his devotees. That is what is emphasized here. Though he is impartial to all, he transcends mundane concepts of religion, being everyone's father, yet having no father himself. Devotees are like his own people in his transcendental pastimes, beyond material nature and mundane ideas. So Arjuna is remembering how Krishna helped Arjuna to fight the Kurukshetra war. When Arjuna was completely perplexed, Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna Arjuna is remembering this when he is reciting the shloka. So now he is telling anything. So Krishna, now there is a huge energy is coming towards him. So he is now asking him what to do, anything, because he is confused. The most important sign of intelligence is to know what to do when we do not know what to do. So he is taking the shelter of his spiritual master, who is Krishna himself. Anything that is presented before personality of Godhead should be so done after due presentation of respectful prayers. So Arjuna has prayed in a nice way, and now he's presenting his case. So that is a standard procedure, and Sri Arjuna, although an intimate friend of Lord, is observing this method for general information. So till now we have seen uh, up to Arjuna's prayer, and Lord will soon respond to it. We will see this in our next discussion on this topic. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarvyascha kripa sindhuvayach patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त की जय। हरि बोल, हरि हरि हरि, हरे कृष्णा।